Hi, this is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. Let's talk about what changed the medical system in the United States from a healthcare system to a sick care system. And I think it frankly comes down to one event in history, the 1910 Flexer Report. This is what changed the way we train America's doctors. Abraham Flexer was not an MD, he was an educator. And he was a big fan of the German model for educating doctors. It was a more scientific approach. It was, people would present with symptoms and they'd be given a prescription. That was called the allopathic method or model for medicine. 1910 is when that became the standard for all medical schools. The AMA was given power at that time to start deciding what schools were accredited medical schools and which ones weren't. And they went with the Flexer Report. Now, the Flexer Report was not without critics. There were a lot of people that were adamantly against it because it was going to do something drastic to the way medical care was provided. Prior to that period of time, medicine was very holistic. Doctors looked at the patient, they looked at the lifestyle, they looked at the diet, they looked at their habits, they looked at how they exercised, what people did for a living. And that patient-centered approach went out the window for the more allopathic model where people were looked at not as individuals, but as a collection of symptoms. What's interesting is who was the person behind? Who was the person that created the Flexer Commission to look into this? Well, it's John D. Rockefeller, the richest man in America at that time, who owned Standard American Oil and was now investing heavily in pharmaceuticals. He was buying up a lot of pharmaceutical companies, and he knew that in order to market those things, he needed doctors that were using an allopathic model. Now, it's not that all of allopathic medicine is bad. There's a lot of good things that come from allopathic medicine. It's been very, very helpful in mapping out the genome and coming up with all sorts of different cures for different diseases. We used to lose a lot of people to traumas, etc., and the allopathic model helped us create maybe the best care in the planet for truly major emergencies and acute diseases. The downside is that our health has declined. And it's declined because there's several areas that are not taught in medical school that used to be taught but should be taught. Let's go over a few of them that are not taught and things that your doctor just frankly doesn't know anything about because they're not teaching this in medical school. Number one on my list of things that doctors are not taught is diet, nutrition. They do not teach doctors what's the optimum human diet. Only 1/5 of all medical schools has any classes at all on nutrition. Most of the education that your doctor gets is going to be how to feed somebody with an IV tube who's in intensive care. That's great information. If you're in intensive care and you're in an IV tube and they're trying to keep you alive, that is fantastic information. But it's not going to give you any help in terms of finding your optimum human diet. Unfortunately, we look to doctors as the FOACs, the fountains of all wisdom and knowledge on how to live a healthy life. And frankly, they're not equipped. They're not trained. Unless they've done their own study outside of medical school, they frankly have no idea. Their opinion is just as good as anybody else's because they don't study it. They never were taught it back in medical school. They also don't teach about exercise. Now, your standard doctor will tell you, well, if you want to lose weight, eat less, move more. But what type of movement? Is it HIIT training? Is it, steady state cardio? How about weight training? What works best? Frankly, a doctor doesn't know. They don't study it. They don't study exercise sports physiology. They have they understand kinesiology, they understand how the muscles work, but they don't understand how to optimize them. It's just not part of the curriculum. It's not trained in them, and they can't tell you how to do better at it. How about sleep? The other key pillar of health. Can your doctor tell you how to get a better night's sleep? Frankly, no. They're not trained in that. And that creates problems because all they can do if you have problems sleeping is they can give you a sleeping pill, which creates other problems. I know I've suffered through them myself. So we've got a real shortage of information, and unfortunately, large companies come in to help fill in the gaps. If you know, have a problem with diet, oh geez, they send you to the nutritionist or the dietitians. Well, who funds the dietitians and nutritionists in the United States? Big Food. They are solely built on the idea that calories in, calories out is the only model. That a calorie is a calorie is a calorie, and it doesn't make any difference. And you know, if you're fat, it's your fault because you're eating too many of them. And frankly, that's a problem. You know, you're getting your dietary advice from Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, Leuvener Company, Nestle's, etc. You're not getting your advice from people that have done their own studies on this. And frankly, there's no money in exercise and sleep. So as a result, they don't have very good advice on where to send you there. Most of it, medicine, has really been pushed by Big Pharma, who have products ready to sell you to lower your cholesterol, help you sleep, or whatever, but not make you healthy. They can take care of the symptoms. They can't help you to get to be the healthy human being that you need to be. But one of the biggest lacking areas in medical education is the study of anthropology and history. And you may think, well, why in the heck would you want to understand that? It is an important, critical factor in really studying health. We can look at, okay, what changes have happened in our culture that have made us so unhealthy over the last 50 years? What are our dietary changes? What are our changes in our sleep patterns? How about exercise? All these different areas are studies that are normally studied by anthropologists, but doctors don't take their studies and their information to learn to make you healthier. And that's lacking. That's a real serious problem. I mean, they cannot look at a culture like the Maasai warriors, who are incredibly healthy, do not have heart attacks, do not have any known cases of cancer, and look at what they eat, what they do, and see if we can find any parallels that could be useful to us today. Their advice is completely ignored. All the studies that could be done that would look at how culture and society affect our health are ignored. It doesn't come into the equation because it's not a symptom and it's not something that's taught by our doctors. Doctors used to be people that worked with patients. They had a holistic relationship with them, and they would look at patients as a whole person. And that's gone. We've lost that as a society. Unfortunately, you know, that means that if you want to become healthy, it's on you. We're all alone in this together, man. There's no other way of looking at it. You know, if you're going to learn how to be healthy, you're not going to get that advice from your doctor. I wish you could. I wish there was an expert that could help teach you to be 100% healthy. You've got to learn from a plethora of sources. And that's what this channel does. I'll be trying to share with you more and more about the different sources that I found that help you to optimize your health and the things that have worked, you know, for others and have worked for me, that are based on some science. That's the goal of this channel. If you like this, if you like this message, if you want to be part of this community, please hit the like, subscribe button. Helps with the algorithm. If you agree, please make a comment below. That again helps get this message out to even more people. It shows that people are interested in this channel and is trying to figure out how to make themselves healthy too. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I'll be back tomorrow.